Welcome to this podcast, my friend. Today I want to walk you through your next step towards healing. I'm going to walk you through a healing journey, what that looks like, and help you to figure out where you might be at the moment and what in your life, if anything, needs to shift to support you further so that you can feel like a true expression of who you are, so that you feel like you're not stuck, but you're moving forward, so that you feel that sense of being happy. You feel like you're living with joy and you're living that today. I'm going to be by your side. I'm going to help you figure this out. And I'm just stoked that you're here with me today. If we haven't met before, my name is Joe Bakhmutsky. I'm an author or proud author of Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in the challenging world of today. Here is my book. I'm so proud of it. I'm a proud artist. I'm writing a play, but I'm also a survivor. And that is a huge part of my identity, of who I am. Because on my journey, I've learned that living with trauma doesn't mean that I'm going to be defined by trauma. I want to be defined by the healing. And that's what I want to do with you today, to talk about how can we define ourselves by healing. And I think in life, we have that strong sense. We generally have a sense of whether you're either in the process of finding your way, or you feel like maybe you are somewhat losing your way. I want to check in with you right now. Do you feel like you are really finding your way, or you feel like you're losing your way? Because when you feel like you might be just kind of losing a step here and there, or something doesn't go right, or something doesn't quite fit, well, maybe that is a strong indicator that what you really need is to take that next step on your journey towards healing. Try something new. Find a new way of looking at things. Figure something out. And even if you are finding your way, but maybe it's things are not going as well as you like, that is again a strong indication that maybe something needs to shift in your life right now. So I want to take the next 15 minutes to think through that process and walk through it with you. Here is how I see the healing journey. And I want to walk you through briefly through these really distinct 9 steps of the healing journey. And these are, when I say steps, I don't mean that you can go through it once. I feel like it's the steps that you go through a particular phase in your life. The phase might last years, it might last days. I don't know what that is for you, but I feel like there's a cycle there, right? There's a cycle that we go through in a particular phase of life or season of life where maybe you're trying to figure things out, you're trying to move forward, you're trying to find your way. And I really believe that we come up against these core elements of our journey, and I think it's important to know what they are so you can see whether you've hit those points or whether there's something that you're missing. I'm going to kind of guide you through it and see if anything of that just really resonates with you right now. These are the points that I've picked out in my key elements of healing from trauma. These are the elements that I see through so many survivors. These are the elements that I see come out through so much of the research and the literature that comes out from the experts who specialize in healing from trauma. So this is my kind of lived experience lens. Now, this may or may not resonate with you, but I hope that it will kind of guide and prompt you to think about your own experience in a different way, right? Because this is the lived experience perspective. And I'm just going to go right into it. I'm just going to dive right in. And I really feel like the core part, that this is something that is really distinct about the healing journey. Where it all begins, or where the kind of the next phase or kind of the next cycle of the healing journey begins, is we experience a deep longing for something. For me, I remember like 2 years ago when, I went on this, ended up on this new cycle towards healing. I didn't even know that's what it was, but I guess it was just in a place where the war in Ukraine started. And because that's where I'm from, and reading these stories and about, rape and murder and torture of innocent people, it just turned me inside out. And there was a part of me deep down that I knew that it was connected to my personal experience of going through rape as a child. And even though I tried to push it away, I tried to say, well, I'm over it. But I still had that longing to go, like this something that I just I need to deal with. Something I need to confront, something I need to work past. And without even having any of the language or understanding, that's what it was like. But I had a deep sense, a deep longing that something's got to change. So would that be something that you can connect with right now? Do you have a longing to, like, might be an emotional or spiritual, or a longing about that might be related with a deep wound from your past, that you want some kind of resolution, you want to find a way forward? Because that is critical to know. Because for me, I just kind of stumbled, and for me, writing my play was just one of the ways that I tried to figure this out. And I don't know what that might be for you, but maybe the next step on your journey towards healing is trying to figure out what deep wound in your life needs healing right now. Where is it in your life that you feel the sense of longing, that you feel like something is missing, where you feel that something is this kind of a gaping hole that needs addressing? Or maybe there's something that you feel you might be lacking right now. Or maybe there's something that you just want to have more of in your life. Maybe that's love. Maybe that's respect. Maybe that's understanding. That's so important, my friend. So that's kind of the first step of that cycle where we go on our healing journey of kind of a deeper longing. And then when we have that longing, what we go on is a looking for truth. This is the step where we try to go, what happened to me? We try to go, why things are the way they are? How has this impacted me? How can I make sense of it? And that's making sense of your own story is one of the most critical elements of the healing journey. And sometimes it's about self-expression and letting that longing come out, whether that's through journaling, whether that's through some kind of arts, whether that's through conversation with others. But we want to be able to kind of dig for truth, for your own inner truth, to understand, what happened to you on a deep level? How has this affected you? And that truth will find its way out. I want to bring it out. We want to bring it out in a safe way, in a way that allows you to make sense of your own experience so that you can place it within a greater kind of, experience of life, make sense of it, integrate it, and move on. we usually, when we are digging for truth, when we are, looking for that more profound expression of who you are, one way or another, we end up at a crossroads. And that is a place where you kind of have an understanding that there's been a deeper wound that may have gone unaddressed. There's maybe been in your life experience which you thought was no longer impacting or driving your life. And maybe it was an experience of life that you were not even aware of. And then you kind of get a sense of what it is. And maybe you don't know the full story, but you have a deep sense inside of going, oh, I feel like this is what's happened to me. And you're at the crossroads. And this is the point where you have to decide. Right? We have to decide, is this something I'm going to move forward with? And I'm going to really, really figure this whole thing out? Or am I just going to sit with it right now? Maybe I'm not ready to take the next step. Maybe I'm not ready to figure out what's going on. And that is a critical moment. Because that crossroads is about, are you going to face something that might be difficult in a way that you're really going to change things? You're really going to have to deal with it in some way. Right? And because that crossroads presents you with a big choice. And it is a personal choice. And there's no right or wrong here. But it is a choice about moving forward with the truth that you have inside you, or letting it sit and be where you are. And that is a difficult choice to have. And sometimes we make that choice without really even thinking about it. But I want to elevate this to a level of where we can consider this and think about this part of your life. Because when we can make the choice explicit, but that it's not something that hides in the background, but we can go, I'm trying to make sense of my experience. I know that there's a deeper truth. I have a sense of what it might be. Do I really want to go and pursue it? Do I really want to go further and uncover what is really going on? Do I really want to make sure that it is something that I work through so I can be a happier, more joyous person? Someone who is able to just live a happier life and deal with it in a way that is supportive and helps me feel better about myself and the world around me. That is the crossroads, my friend. And for me, that was meeting another survivor who actually heard my story. And for the first time, I was able to kind of express that deeper truth and realize that this is going through rape as a child, how deeply it has affected me. And it's given me that new understanding of my own experience, which I before minimized. I thought I was over it. I thought it was something from the past. I thought I've already dealt with all of that in my own way, which I've probably in some way I have, but I've not to the extent that it was required. And that gave me a new outlook about myself, about how I look at other people, about how I look at my own experience. It gave me a new identity. That new understanding is so vital because that opens up so many doors, and that gives you a sense of being more whole. Gives you that sense of wholeness because you all of a sudden realize something about you that you may have not known before. Now, that also brings up, having that new understanding, brings up a sense of grief. That's not something that, it's all not flowers and unicorns and rainbows. The also part of our truth is bringing up the difficult, awful things that have happened, and also bringing up and having grieving for the times that you may not have dealt with it that as well as you would like. Grieving for the impact that it's had on your life. Grieving for the sense of this being pushed away to the side and minimized, and how it's negatively impacted your life, and maybe the people around you, or maybe the relationships, or maybe it limited you from expressing yourself in your work, in your personal life, right? I think it's so vital to allow ourselves the time and the opportunity to grieve for things that we have lost, for things that we may never have had, for things we missed out on. For me, I know it was a grief for, I guess, so much time that I spent feeling scared, being afraid of being who I am, being afraid of going out into the world and be my true self. And I think we have to allow that grief to come out. And then there is the stage of the healing journey, which I call the plunge. Because the previous step, the grieving of the past and the new understanding, it means that is the point of no return, right? Because we learn something deep about ourselves and our own experience. It means that things from now on will never be the same. I've learned this about myself. I know that how this has affected in my past and my life before. And now you're going to take the plunge. You're going to take the plunge into the life, into trying to figure this out, whether that's getting therapy, whether that's, talking to other people, whether that's reading books, whether it's listening to podcasts, whether that's getting coaching. But figuring out what that experience means to you now, trying to work through it, trying to get that active steps towards healing, whether that's changing habits, whether that's dealing with addiction, but just taking the plunge, because you want to sort this thing out. You want to try to get a handle on things. You want to be in control. And I'm here to tell you, my friend, that you can. And you will be. And that is a critical part of healing. Next step, number 7, is rebonding. What I call rebonding, it's really, we sometimes lose that sense of connection with who you are, with your sense of self, people around you, or just being part of a greater community. And what needs to happen, and this is something that I think is so often one of the most underlooked and overlooked. Which one is it? I don't know, both. It's the missing ingredient in so much of how we think about our journey towards healing is the bonds with other people. And we have to make new connections with people. Or sometimes when we have a connection with someone, it's an opportunity to go deeper and reconnect with them by either sharing our story or being more vulnerable or just having that greater understanding and compassion for each other. That is so vital. This step is so critical in connecting with the true sense of who you are, because all healing is relational, right? And our sense of healing and sense of self, we only really can get a full grasp of it in relation to other people. And sometimes that is going out and meeting people who've been through something similar. Even though Our experiences are so diverse and so unique, and your journey is unlike anybody else's. And yet there are so many things that we truly share in common. And it requires to, like, for us to get that sense of rebonding, right? Making those new bonds, making those, rejuvenating the bonds that we already have, and allow them to go deeper in a way that gives you that profound sense of connectedness with other people. Next is, like, this is my beautiful, the most beautiful moments that I treasure the most, and that is the moment of integration. Do you know that feeling, right? That feeling when all of a sudden there's a deep realization, and maybe like something you've been doing across different parts of your life, maybe in your work or in your home or something creatively, and all of a sudden, like, things kind of align, things that make sense. You go, oh, I can see how, this thing about my life that relates to this over there. Like, for me, it's been like something I was talking about with my therapist. I kind of realized that connection of what I was doing in my play, and that related to what I was doing in my podcast. I was like, it all makes sense. It all fits in. And that moment of integration where we realize the interconnectedness of everything that we're doing in life, and how that allows us to just move forward. That is just a beautiful feeling that we have. And I think it's so important to look out for it. And if you haven't yet experienced that on your journey, to know that it's coming. It's coming your way, my friend. And those moments of integration are they're gonna come up over and over again. As long as you just keep at it, my friend. Just keep at it. Keep moving forward. You will figure this out. I promise. Step number 9 is the awakening. I call it the awakening because it's when you go through life and you have that process. You go through, you have that sense of longing. You trying to make sense of your story. You go and you're at the crossroads, and then you try to really, you take the plunge, and you're trying to work all of those things out, and you grieve for the past, and you have those deep realizations, and things come together, and kind of this process of integration happens, and you can get those bonds with other people and relationships that you now kind of get them in a new light. Well, all that means is that you kind of get this, it changes you. You kind of wake up and you're different. And the way that you look at life is different. And sometimes that puts things in a different perspective. And maybe sometimes sometimes it's a challenging sort of feeling that you have to sit with for a while. Because sometimes you might look at parts of your life, and go, this doesn't make sense anymore. For me, it was that experience of dealing with cancer. When I came back from my treatment, and I was a mess, and I was trying to figure my life out and get back to feeling better physically, mentally, emotionally. And what I realized eventually, that my career that I cared so much for, I realized, like, this isn't my life's work. This isn't something that is driving my day to day. And I realized that it had to change. So what is that in your life that you feel might need to shift or change? These are the 9 steps on that cycle of healing that you might be on. And I just want you to consider, where are you at right now? And I want you to consider that the next step towards healing, the next action step that you take, it is always the point of connection. It is always it's always a step towards connecting with the part of who you are, with your inner truth, connecting with other people. So it's not something that is wrong with you and something needs to change, but you're seeking that greater sense of connectedness. That's what the next step is for. Whether that's connecting with people through a support group, whether that's going out and seeking a new therapist, whether that's going out and dealing with addiction, whether it's going out and being more fit, whether it's going out and making a new friend, whether that's sharing your story with somebody else. That is always a deeper sense of connection with you, with yourself, or with other people, or both. That's the truth of it. And I know that this journey towards healing is incredibly tough. And I don't want to seem flippant. And I know how difficult it is for us to make any kind of change in life. I know that because so many times I've put off changing and dealing with difficult things, whether it was a relationship that was wrong, whether it was dealing with addiction, whether it was dealing with past hurt. I know the full value of healing and moving on. I know the power of recovery. And deep inside, you know too. And that's why I say to you that even though the future, we don't know what's going to happen, right? The future will bring different choices. The future will bring different situations, new challenges, different ways of looking at things. The only way to act, my friend, is right now. It's today, right now. That's all we have. What does now mean, my friend? Now means new thoughts, new roles, making new meaning of things, new perspective. Seek that new perspective, my friend. Seek that new perspective, that new understanding of how things are, making sense of your journey, realizing where are you now? Where am I now? What do I need? How can I take that next step forward? This requires us to think differently about our own experience. This also requires us, that's end for now, new thoughts, new perspective, new meaning. The O in now is realizing that this is an open road, that anything is possible, that we are open to the possibility. We are open to change. We don't know what's going to happen, right? Nothing is set in stone. Things might turn out better. Things might not turn out better. Things might also go beyond even your wildest dreams. For me, every time I stepped on the healing journey, onto the next cycle, whether it was dealing with cancer, whether it was dealing with a broken relationship, whether it was uncovering a past wound that I have not dealt with before, every single time it's been a journey of freedom, of liberation, of finding my own true self and feeling happier in the process. But it's also saying, going, you know what? I'm open. Everything is possible. Anything can happen. Anything can change. Uncertainty, that's the flip side of uncertainty. Uncertainty, yeah, you don't know how things are going to turn out. But there's also the flip side of it, that there's a possibility and the hope of something beautiful coming into your life. Something changing in a way that lights you up, that makes you feel better, that makes you excited, that brings something totally unexpected, something that you've never even considered into your life. So now, what does it mean? It's been, it's new thoughts, new habits, new patterns. It's been open to possibility, open to change, open that anything can happen that might change your life in a beautiful, in a profound way. But it's also, the W it's that taking the perspective and the mindset that you're going to win. You're going to win at life. You're going to win the day. You are going to win a change. You're going to grow. You're going to figure things out. You can do this, my friend. You can do this. You have done this so much in your life. You've dealt with hardship. You've been through struggle. You know what it's like. You kept going even when the going was tough. Even when no one gave you credit for it. You're here. You showed up. That's what matters. I believe in you. I believe in you. You can do this. You can figure this out. We exist in this moment today, my friend. Right now. That is the time. Don't wait. Don't put it off. And if you need support, I'm here for you. I'm here to be your coach. That's why I created my program called Clarity First, which is a coaching program, which is a unique curriculum where I teach those who've been impacted by trauma on how to go from survival to really thriving and making an impact and realizing where you're at on the journey towards healing, really taking that step and supporting you in an accelerated way that really helps you to implement the changes that will serve you the most right now. But I want you to keep in mind that anything is possible. You can do this, my friend. I believe in you. Thank you for being here.